CIL 650 presents It's Your Money, an up-close and personal look at your finances. Here's your host, Fred Snyder.
Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher is teaching the golden
Okay, we're
rule.
back. Remind you once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live show. It isn't a recording, it is live. We're taking your calls. We encourage you to call. We want to share this show with you, our listening audience, and we want to teach you what you need to know to make better financial decisions. And most of us don't do a very good job of that. If you measure it, take 100 people who started equal today at the age of 25. By the time they end up at 65, 1 is wealthy, 4 are well-to-do, 5 are still working, 36 are dead, and the remaining 54 are dead broke, dependent on family and state. We have a technical problem? No, okay. So anyway, join us. Let's talk about your money and how to keep it. If you have any advice that you can give our listeners, that would be much appreciated. And again, we encourage you to call. We're giving away a great book entitled When Life Bites You in the Wallet. This is about some of the disasters that happen to people financially. And I've just finished this book. It's written by Blair Manton with Sands & Associates, expert on debt management. I had him on this show many, many times. We'll feature him again, and we'll talk about the book at great length. Because I think one of the fundamental reasons why people fail financially is they don't manage their debts very well. They spend more than they earn. They get into debt. They can't get out of debt. It becomes a millstone that holds them back, and they haven't got a hope of achieving their financial objectives. And wouldn't it be nice if we could all be financially independent? But what is financial independence? Ask any 100 people, you get 100 different answers. It's like love and marriage. Love, what is love? You have to have a burning desire to achieve something, or you're not going to get there. If financial independence is what you want, then you better start defining it. So what is it? What does it mean to be financially independent? And you know, I think I'm going to give something away. I think I'm going to give away $500 today to whoever gives me the best answer to that question. Call in and tell me what you think financial independence is. And you might just win $5, and I'll be the sole judge. Okay? No draw, no nothing. Whoever gives me the most intelligent answer to that question. What is financial independence? Talk to me. Get on the line and give me a call. The number to call is 604-280-0650. Long distance, 1-877-280-0650. You can log on www.cil650.com. And for those who are shy or reluctant to talk on the air, maybe you want to make an appointment to see myself. Frida's down at the office. You can reach Frida right now at area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. Just tuned in. I am certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also a registered financial planner representing Scotia Wealth Management. Used to be Scotia McLeod. We've changed the name to Wealth Management because it's more descriptive of what we do. We help you manage your money so that you can become financially independent sooner and stay financially independent longer. Wouldn't it be terrible if you ended up at 65 or 70 or 80 broke with no money, empty pockets? Terrible feeling. Think about it for a minute. On the other hand, think about what would happen if you had this awesome, bulletproof, written financial plan that's going to be your roadmap to get you to where you want to go. All you have to do is follow the plan. And we're providing that. Absolutely no cost, no obligation. Think about that for a minute. And I'm going to start taking some calls. The calls are coming in right now. We have Maria from Vancouver. Maria, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you, Fred.
Hi.
I am not sure I'm going to win the $500, but I figure I would get it started. And I do have somebody in mind as far as financial independence goes. Mm-hmm. His first name is Bernard. He has achieved financial independence.
I think I know who you mean.
And yes, I know you know who I mean because he has come to you and he has done all the right things. And I believe he is younger than 65, and he has achieved financial independence by listening to what you have to say and doing what you say And to me, financial independence is when have I achieved it? No, I have not. I'm at the other end. But financial independence is when you can quit working and you have no debts and you have plenty in the bank to keep you going the rest of your life.
Well, that's getting pretty close. So I kind of agree with that, but I don't want to give the answer out because too many people say the same thing.
Well, no, you can't give the answer out because you have to have all those other nice callers calling
I mean,
on you.
I will take this information and I will put it, I will script it into my writings. I will say I had some people call my radio show, and this is how they define financial independence. This is what they had to say about it. Okay?
Yes.
So what is it? What is, like is it having $1 million? I don't think so.
No,
is it having
no,
$10 million? Maybe.
It doesn't have a number.
Yeah.
But when you have everything that you want in life, your health, and your bank account is in a good place, and you're able to have helped those around you, it doesn't have $1 million or 10 million. It's a combination of everything. And it's also when you're able to do whatever you want, and you never have to worry about the last nickel.
You never have to count the shekels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. It's free. It's financial freedom. It's like London Life with their Freedom 55.
Yes, that would be nice. I'm at 61.
That was. I don't know if Freedom 55 even exists. It's a it's an acronym of some kind or another. But the bottom line is, when you don't have to work if you don't want to, it's okay to work if you want to, if you like it. But if you don't have to work if you don't want to.
Yes.
So how do you define that? I think it starts with formulating a budget. You have to sit down. You have to sit down with a pencil and paper, and you have to say, this is how I'm spending my money. And maybe you need a guide to do that. So you would talk to myself or some other financial advisor and say, look, give me a budget sheet. I want to fill that sheet in. I want to measure how I spend my money. I want to keep track of how I'm spending my money, because somehow or another, when it comes to the end of the month, I'm broke. I don't have any money to put away for myself. Okay?
Yes, so I can relate to that.
I think we all can. But the bottom line is, it takes work. It takes effort.
Yes.
Maria, I want you to visualize the word effort. E-F-F-O-R-T. Okay? Think about that word, because that word is what life is all about. It's a bit of a struggle. If it's not worth it. There's got to be some effort. Okay?
Yes.
And visualize the word success. You got a capital S at the front. Put 2 downstrokes in it. That means capital, big money. Okay? You got 2 S's in there. Put a stroke through those. That means small money. You got a C in there, and that's cents. There's 2 other letters in there. E and or U and E stands for you and the effort that you put into it. So success, that's how you spell success. If you want capital dollars, you can settle for the smaller dollars or the change. But if the difference between those who are successful and those who aren't is effort.
Yes, and from personal experience, I believe this happens not just to me, but to lots of people. When you do have the money, you cannot think it's never going to finish, because before you know it, it's all gone. So hanging on to it, having a financial plan, coming to see you, having a financial plan, following it, and being in touch with you every now and then, because it's easy to have that money in the bank. It's also easy to lose it. Very
easy. It's liquid. It slips through your fingers.
Yes, it's like water. It just goes between your fingers, and it doesn't come back. When it's gone, it's gone.
So you have to find a way. You have to find a way, Maria, to be able to say, I'm not going to spend 100% of what I earn. I am my oldest obligation. I'm going to pay myself first.
Yes.
Anytime I make $1, even if it's only $1, the rule is this: I save a dime. If I make $2, I save 20 cents. 10% of everything I earn, I pay myself first. Then I take what's left and I budget to pay everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can't fail.
I'm very proud to say I have a daughter. I'm not going to say her name because she doesn't know I'm talking about her right now. And she seems to know a lot of what you talk about. She's doing a great job. If she keeps it up between her and her husband, they're going to be in really a great place one day, not like Mom. So if we can pass on our mistakes so that they're not repeated, then we did something good.
Yeah, the next time I have Blair Manton on this show, I'd planned on trying to have him here today. I couldn't get him here today. I want to discuss his book. And everybody who calls the show, including yourself, gets a copy of the book, When Life Bites You in the Wallet.
Oh, that's got to be a really interesting book.
I have taken that book in the last couple of days and turned it into a PowerPoint presentation, so I've read the book, cover to cover. It's awesome. And there is nothing, there's nothing in there that a wealthy person really needs to know except to teach their kids the principle that it's all about.
Yes.
Because you can be wealthy, you can look after your money real well, but what if one of your children gets in serious trouble and you got to bail them out financially?
Yes, and unfortunately, we need to learn. We cannot pass our knowledge on to our children. They need to learn it themselves for themselves. So, yes, I believe that's a great book, and after I read it, I will pass it on to my sweet child.
You know, Maria, I can't thank you too much for the call. Really, really well done.
Well, as soon as I heard what you said, I just had to call in, and I hope people take advantage of it because they may have the answer, and it's the fastest way to make $500.
You got it. Okay. Appreciate your call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Maria's line is now open, and I do have open lines, and I'm taking calls, and I'm giving $500 away to the winner. Okay, I'm also giving a great book. The book is worth more than the $500. Trust me. Get the book, read it. Be the best book you ever read because it'll keep you out of debt. And if you don't have to worry about being in debt, pass it along to your children and keep them out of debt so they don't start taking away your money on you, coming to you for help financially. Let's talk to Victoria from Langley. Victoria, welcome to the program.
Good morning, people. How are you all doing?
Oh, can't complain. It wouldn't do a bit of good anyway, would it?
I know. I heard a very interesting statement the other day. If you put a penny away every day and double it every day, what would you have at the end of this month?
I don't know, probably a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, that's
I've
right.
never
If you
figured
add
it out.
up, it's true. I've seen it in books and I've watched it in other. You have $10 million just from a penny.
Wow.
And now our government has taken away our penny. How rude is that? But anyway, I heard another statement the other day. If you put $5 a day away, a day for 30 years, you will have $1 million at the end of your 30-year period.
Assuming what rate of return?
Pardon?
Assuming what rate of return?
5%.
5%. I haven't done the math on that one, but I've done the math on what would happen if you doubled a dollar 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
You double a dollar 100 times, you got over $1 million.
Yeah. And also, it doesn't matter the amount of money that you have. My way of thinking is just to have it there when you need it.
Need it for what?
And, well, just like anything in life that happens to you, your daily life, your monthly life, your life when you're 65 or whenever you choose to retire. And also to have a good financial advisor that you can trust and listen to.
Right on.
This is true. But anyway, I don't know if I'll win the $500, but I very much believe of what I said. And have yourself a great day, people.
You
Take
too.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so Victoria's line is now open, and another good response to my question. Please define financial independence. What does it mean? How do you know when you are financially independent? Like, if you're going to get there, ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there, if you're going to get there, you have to have a goal. You have to be able to see the goal. You have to have a burning desire to achieve it. You got to believe that you can achieve it. And it takes effort. It takes a bit of a struggle. The struggle is that you don't spend 100% of everything you earn. You save 10% of everything you earn. 10 cents out of every dollar that you earn goes into the pot. It goes into the piggy bank. And the balance you use and you budget to pay everybody else. Okay, let's talk to Helen from Richmond. Helen, welcome to the program.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm phoning for my friends. They're retired. They're in a house that's worth $1 million probably, and they're trying to get some money for their daughter to buy a house in Toronto, and the real estate there is expensive as well. Now, do you think a reverse mortgage would be good, or they've probably got about $200,000 saved, and they're, getting up there 80-ish?
Well, it might be a good idea. Like you see, the one thing that I have to say to people, anybody listening to this show, please don't run out and do what I'm talking about on this show without seeking advice regarding your own personal set of circumstances.
Right.
When I say that a reverse mortgage might be a good thing for her, it might be and it might not be.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how she thinks. A reverse mortgage is a darn good thing for perhaps this. Does she have any other children?
Well, the other daughter is well off, and it's not the same situation at all. One's well off and one isn't.
Does she? Is it important for her to leave a legacy?
Well, she wants. She's remarried, and
What would her new husband think?
Well, she's the one that had the money, and her new husband. She wants him looked after for his lifetime.
Well, a reverse mortgage is good for somebody who doesn't have any money, any alternative. Right. Good for somebody who doesn't really want a legacy.
Yeah.
Secondly, if she uses the reverse mortgage to buy her daughter a house in Toronto, she's already given her the legacy. Okay.
Well, her daughter doesn't own any real estate, and she would like to help her get a down payment together.
So you say her house is worth $1 million?
Yeah, roughly.
And she's got $200,000 now?
Probably, yeah.
She could probably get $500,000 by way of a reverse mortgage. She's already got two. That's a $700,000 down payment on a house in Toronto.
Okay, I'm just writing this down.
Now remember, with a reverse mortgage, you pay interest. There's a debt that never really gets paid off until the house is sold or the last party to the transaction moves out of the house. It's got to eventually be paid off one way or another. The lending organization, probably CHIP, would be betting that the house will appreciate faster than the accumulating mortgage. There's no payments to make on a reverse mortgage. The payments are tax-free.
And the interest is roughly what that they charge?
Well, I'm not sure right now. I think it's around 5%, might be 5%. More.
5%. Okay, well, that's a big help.
But really, she needs to sit down and get professional advice before making any decision in that particular area.
Right.
And I don't want anybody to think for a minute that I'm promoting reverse mortgages on this show.
Yeah.
I'm saying it could be a solution.
Insurance or anything probably wouldn't work as well.
Well, insurance isn't going to help her buy property for her daughter in Toronto unless she dies.
Yeah.
That's a pretty heavy price to pay.
Well, yeah. Okay, well, I'll run that by her, and thank you very much for your help.
What she really needs is a financial plan.
Yeah.
You see, let's talk about her in the context of a financial plan. She comes down. She sits down with a financial advisor who goes through the client discovery process, which means an assessment of her income, her expenses, her assets, her liabilities, her goals, her objectives, her insurance, and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of takes a snapshot in time of her current financial situation. Mm-hmm. She has to do that. And then that financial, and then on the goals part of the plan, it will say, I want to help my daughter buy a house in Toronto. Yeah. It will also indicate how many other children she has and whether they're well off or whether they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But the financial plan then would formulate the best solution to that problem. The question really is, what's the best way to find the money to help my daughter buy a house in Toronto? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And there might be 3 or 4 options available. But reverse mortgage is one of them, and it could be the best one, it could be the worst one. Depends.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate that.
Okay, Helen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call.
Okay, you enjoy the weekend.
And just a minute. What's your definition of financial independence?
Oh,
Just about missed a chance to win $500.
Oh, just a minute. Financial independence. Well, I kind of put good health above money lately. Enough to do what you want and to help your family and enjoy life.
Okay. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Hope you win.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fred.
Take care now.
Bye
Bye-bye.
for now.
Okay, we have open lines. The number to call is 604-280-0650. 604-280-0650. Long distance, 1-877-280-0650. Log on, www.CIL650.com. And for those who are shy, reluctant to talk on the air, some of you may want to make an appointment to see myself so I can do a financial plan for you. It's gratis, pro bono, doesn't cost you a nickel. Give Frida a call, 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. Just tuned in. I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner. This is a live show. We're taking your calls. We share this microphone and the airwaves with you, our listeners. And if you have some information about your financial situation that you want to share with the world, get on the line and give us a call. Promise you won't embarrass you in any way, shape, or form. And really, it's kind of nice to give, you know? So if you can put somebody on the right track, it's really good. I really love this CNN program they're doing right now about people that have changed their lives. All the anchors are putting on a show about how their life was changed by someone special in their life. Awesome program. Okay? So how did your financial advisor change your life? How did anybody in your life change your life for the better or maybe the worse? Share it with us. Let's talk. Let's talk about your money and how to keep it. And the key word is keep it. 604-280-0650. Repeat it once again, 604-280-0650. Long distance, 1-877-280-0650. Log on, www.CIL650.com. And Frida, for those who are shy, down at the office, 604-737-3512. Long distance, 1-800-661-1495. Remember, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about your money and how to keep it. And I'm going to tell you right now, without any fear whatsoever of contradiction, most people listening to this show, most of you, do not have a plan to succeed financially. And that's why you will fail. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail by default. Most people fail financially. Ask yourself this question. How long have I worked? How much money have I made so far during my working career? Maybe I've worked for 10 or 15 or 20 years. How much money have I made during my working career? But the key question, the most important question is this. How much of that do I have left today? And I'll bet you it's not much. And I'll bet you're not happy with the answer. And the reason is that you are not following the financial planning principles. 3 P's. First P stands for I must have a plan. It stands for plan. The second P stands for planning. I must work the plan. I can't just put it on the shelf and forget about it. And the last P stands for product. I need the best product inside my financial plan. I spent the better part of yesterday designing portfolios. I have 11 model portfolios of investment funds. They're all perfect, well balanced, perform extremely well. Yesterday I did stocks, portfolios of stocks. I took the latest magazine, I got all the best leading stocks that are out there, and I designed portfolios out of the stocks. So it's not just about mutual funds, it's also about stocks. So you want to get involved in stocks? Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea to have half your money in stocks and half your money in mutual funds. Depends. Depends on your circumstances. It always depends on your current set of circumstances. Let's talk to William from Richmond. William, welcome to the program.
Oh, hello, Fred.
Hi, William. I recognize your voice.
Yes, thanks.
You were in to see me yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, I would just like to give you my definition of financial independence. It's having enough income to pay your living expenses for the rest of your life without having to work full time.
If you don't want to.
Yes, exactly.
That's pretty close. No frills on that one.
Well, that's just my definition.
You know,
and I think I've achieved that. So
you have been a client of mine for how long?
Oh, about 10 years.
Are you a happy client?
Yes, I am. Relatively happy.
If anybody asks you what kind of a financial advisor I am, what would you tell them?
Oh, I would say that you're very knowledgeable, and you're easy to talk to. And personally, I found that I've developed a good relationship with you as a financial advisor, and I really love to listen to your show, and I seem to learn something every time I listen to your show. So it's been a very good experience for me.
And you're now retired?
Yes.
How old are you?
Well, I'll be 58 in March.
So you retired early?
Yes, I did, yes.
And you would consider yourself financially independent?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, I think you are too.
Because I've been saving money my whole life. So as you say, that word, I love that word, burning desire.
I love it too. I can thank Stu Ferguson from this show for putting that one into my head.
Yes. So that's something I've always followed.
Because really, I think about the word success all the time. Yes. And you try to find the easiest and simplest and shortest way to define financial success, or any kind of success. This is what success is. Success is having a goal that's well-defined and a burning desire to achieve it. I think that's almost it.
Yes.
If you have a well-defined goal and a burning desire to achieve it, who's going to stop you?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's mind over matter.
You've motivated yourself because you got this burning desire. That comes from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, anyway.
Yes, I know. I have the book.
Fabulous book.
It's wonderful. Yes, it really is.
Did you do that? Did you get that budget done yet?
Yes, I'm just finishing it off. I should be finished today. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm quite happy with everything, and yeah. So I have to say that being a client of yours has been a wonderful thing for me, because it's given me direction in life, and I feel much more confident now.
I can hear it in your voice.
Thank you very much.
Bill, you take care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
I will. Thank you very much. Okay, bye, Fred.
Bye. Okay. So essentially, I don't want to repeat what we're doing because I don't want to give it away. But that was a pretty good answer. Enough to say that. Let's take another call. Let's talk to David from Burnaby. David, welcome to the program.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, David.
I just wanted to thank you for your program. I've been listening for about 5 years.
Yes.
And I think it's extremely informative, and you do a great service to the listeners of this radio station.
Well, God, you just made my day. My head just grew by 2 inches.
I've learned a lot from your program.
Yeah.
And I look forward to listening to it every week. And yeah, so I just wanted to thank you for that.
Okay, so you got a chance to win yourself $500. So what's your definition of financial success?
Well,
financial independence?
I'll tell you something. When I was going back to when I was in high school, I remember, you had all these visions of what you wanted to do when you grow up. And my definition would be just being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, without having to worry about the cost of it. So whether or not it's going on a trip somewhere, going to a movie, just grabbing a coffee, not having to worry about buying that expensive latte. So to me, that's just to make the little everyday things to make your life happy without having to worry about the cost of it.
Well, basically, it's financial freedom.
Financial freedom. And I'll tell you, in high school, when I was in high school, they never taught us anything to do with the financial system, just basic stuff. They didn't teach us about credit cards. They didn't teach us, what compound interest, how valuable saving your money is at an early age. If you start at 18, how little you have to save versus starting at the age of 35 or starting at the age of 45.
When I was 30, I just bought a house, and I had a roomer and boarder, and there was a salesman representing Canadian Gas and Energy, which was a mutual fund at the time. This is way back in mid-'60s. He came out to give a presentation to my boarder for $20 a month. And he told my boarder, if he put $20 a month into this fund, and he got what the fund had been returning for 20 years, he'd have something like $50,000. I said, what? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
The roomer and boarder, his name was Dowd, actually. I can still remember his name. But he said, well, I'll think about it. And I said to the guy, I said, I'll take one. Now, up to that point, I did not realize the power of time and compound interest. At 30,
yeah,
I had worked for a bank. Unbelievable. I sold printing calculators. But nobody had ever explained it.
And I'll tell you, Fred, a lot of people now are getting so discouraged, the young people, the cost of to buy a house in Vancouver
it's crazy.
is astronomical, so you give up. And you're like, you know what? What's the point of even saving? What's the point of even doing anything? Because I'm not going to ever be able to afford this. But you know what? If you start saving at the age of 22, you will be able to achieve your goals earlier than people that start at the age of 30, at the age of 40.
Well, there's an old cliche that essentially says, start in a small way if you like, but start. And a good habit is just as difficult to break as a bad one.
Yeah.
So once you get into the habit of systematically paying yourself first and saving money, you formed a good habit. Just like trying to quit smoking, you won't be able to. And that's what you need to do.
And I'll tell you, I learned a lot myself, but you taught me a lot over the last 5 years. And a lot of the stuff you taught me, I applied. And I'll tell you, if I would have heard your show 20 years earlier, if you had a show 20 years earlier, I would have been much better off.
I've been doing shows for about 25 years now.
Really?
Yeah.
I only discovered your show about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Where were you when I
I've been on
needed
various
you, huh?
stations. I've been on NW and 1410 and AM 1040 when they were going.
Well, I'll tell you, out of all the shows that are out there in the radio universe in Vancouver, I think yours is pretty much at the top of the heap.
Well, God, my head's getting even bigger.
Thank you very much, and I hope this show's on for many more years.
David, I hope you won the $500. You
Thank
take
you,
care.
Fred.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Let's talk to Tracy from Vancouver. Tracy, welcome back.
Hi, morning, Fred.
Morning. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you had a nice weekend off last weekend. Because we didn't hear you live, so you must have been either sick.
Well,
or...
I don't want. Well, I'll tell you. I went to a funeral.
Oh no! Oh
yeah,
my goodness!
I had to go back to Ontario first.
Oh, okay,
funeral.
Okay, yeah. Well, listen, I wanted to say that, quite often people think that financial independence means you have to have millions and millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that. I think for me, it's living in a modest way, being able to do the things I would like to do, and having good friends and good health. And you have helped me do that. I don't have a lot of money. I live on under $2,000 a month, and I'm going to say that I'm happy doing it. I do go out for dinner once in a while. I meet with friends. I do.
But you won't buy a house.
but I don't buy a house because I don't want the responsibility of a house. So,
incidentally,
I'd
ladies and
rather
gentlemen,
travel.
just for the sake of our listeners, can I talk a little bit about your circumstances? I won't reveal very much.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
but I don't know, a dozen times. Tracy's probably attended more of my workshops than anybody I know. And many, many times I've said the best investment you can make is to buy a house. I've recommended that she buy a house. She won't buy a house.
No.
Tracy loves to travel. Tracy takes maybe three trips a year. Is that right?
Well, not quite. We got back from a driving trip in September, and we'll be doing something around BC probably this year.
You had 4 months on a cruise once.
A couple of years back. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so isn't that more like financial? It's not owning a house; it's doing what you want to do.
Right.
And you're able to make ends meet, do what you want to do, and you don't work right now. You're retired.
Right. I'm retired and I'm not working.
How old are you?
But, I also think for the benefit of those listening that it's very, very, very important to have short-term and to have long-term goals.
For sure.
If you don't have a goal, you won't save. And I was talking about it with a friend. Our interest rates are at 0.8% or something. Many people aren't going to save. They don't want to save. There's no value in saving when we're getting paid basically zero for interest. But then, so they go out and they put more on their credit cards, or they go out and spend the money, and then they get deeper and deeper into debt, thinking that they won't have to pay so much on their credit card. But, even though the interest rate drops on your savings, it stays the same at 19%, and it's been 19% for ages. So I don't, you have to save, you have to get, have goals, and you have to really think about those goals and start saving for them. And so if you have a goal, you're going to, like you say, be really firmly entrenched in trying to make it to that.
Well, Tracy, you are retired. You're financially independent. How old are you?
I'll be 69 in July.
I didn't think you were that old. I thought you were quite a bit younger. Wow.
Yeah, right. No, I know.
And you've been a client of mine for at least 10 years.
Yes. Yeah, 13, I think. They're 13 or 14, yeah.
And things have worked out well for you.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that, Fred, one of the things, like David was saying, I would put honesty at the top of my list where you're concerned. You're very honest. You're very upright. If you ask a question and you don't know exactly, you'll say, "I don't know. I'll go get an answer for you." And I think that's really important because we don't need more Bernie Madoffs in our life, kind of thing. When you're working hard, and I think Fred you were probably a very honest and forthright person when it comes to your knowledge and your ability to help people, and I think that lays a very high credibility in my book. So just to let everybody know, they should go make an appointment with Fred because he's not only a good financial planner and CFA and all these different numbers behind his name, he can also be a friend, and that's really important.
Tracy, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. I just got the high sign. I have to go to the break.
Right.
And I got Brian from South Surrey on the line. So, Brian, be patient. We'll take you right after the break.
Okay. Bye, Fred.
Bye, Tracy. Have a nice weekend.
Fred Snyder.
I want you to imagine a person who is uptight, always worried, has high blood pressure, looking at their bank statement every time they turn around, and it's always red. Okay? They're spending more than they earn. They can't seem to get out of the hole. They're always telling people, I'm catching up, I'm trying to catch up. So they're always behind the 8 ball. And life isn't pretty. And they're not happy and they're frustrated. And they're not even fun to be around, those kind of people. There's a black cloud hanging over their head. Visualize that, because there's lots of people out there right now that are in that boat.
Fred Snyder.
And you have to ask yourself the question right now, what would happen if that happened to me? Because here I am. I'm sitting out here. I don't have a written financial plan. I haven't taken the time to sit down and think about my goals, the things that I really want to accomplish. I'm like a ship without a rudder. I have no direction. I'm procrastinating because I don't know what to do. And I'm still not doing anything about it. So instead of being proactive as I should be, I'm being reactive. I'm waiting for the bad stuff to happen and not controlling my destiny. If that's you, it's time to make a phone call.
Call Fred. Talk to Fred. Listen to Fred. Fred Snyder. Sunday mornings 9 to 11 on CIL 650. This is CISL Vancouver. Smooth and easy. CIL 650. This is It's Your Money on CIL 650. Here once again is Fred Snyder.
Okay, we're back. Again, when we went to the break, we had a caller waiting patiently for us. His name is Brian from South Surrey. Brian, welcome to the program.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. I've been meaning to phone you for a long time.
Oh, that's good.
I respect everything you say. I think you're bang on. And I would give you an A. I'm not a client. If I didn't have a financial advisor that I could work well with, you'd be on my list as number one to visit. Excellent. Education that you give, all the details make all the sense in the world. And the type of thing that I've been trying to follow for years. I retired when I was 55. Haven't worked, haven't looked back on that for the years since. And good planning has done it. We started years and years ago with the envelope program. You've referred to that many times.
My mother used to do that, was her?
Exactly. Well, my wife did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have...
It's a very effective way to budget.
I have to thank her for that. I used to joke about it. My friends joked about it. I still have a friend. I'm 77. I still have a friend who reminds me that we used to use the envelope program. But I've changed that envelope program. Years and years ago, I went to a program called Quicken.
Beautiful program. Wonderful program. I use it myself.
I wish you would recommend to all your listeners that they get a copy of that software.
Are you familiar with the NEAT system?
No.
NEAT has a scanner. I alternate between Quicken and my scanner. I have a scanner that I can scan a receipt, and it reads it as if it's live. It categorizes it according to the categories that I set up.
Okay.
Automatically. Just scan it, and you got a picture of every receipt. It's beautiful. Does your books automatically for you.
Well, that saves my system. I go into my credit card account, a couple of them, once a month, and download everything into the Quicken.
Yep.
Categorize it all.
Yep.
So that I have an accurate record. And this has been going on now since 1998, I think. So I have a budget. I have a budget that program can make immediately.
Yep. I know.
Year by year by year.
I've been using Quicken for 20-some years. I've had them on my show.
It gives income. It gives expenses.
Yep.
And I guess that's the answer to my $500 or to your $500.
So you're saying
the income has to be greater than the expenses.
And you make sure that happens using some kind of a system, and in your case, it's either the envelope system or some type of software.
The budget.
Yeah. So
you have to have a
really,
budget.
Really, the heart of your financial plan is the budget.
Exactly.
And you know something? The heart of anybody's financial plan should be the budget.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 people that come to see me don't have a budget.
Unbelievable.
Like, I can't, can you imagine the government of Canada operating without a budget?
Well,
I
I
think
wonder
they do.
about their budget sometimes.
I mean, if you look at their numbers, I think they do.
I couldn't operate under a government budget.
Yeah.
Because they're always in deficit. We're always showing a plus.
Well, you know, if and again, it's one of my pet peeves is government debt. But if you take the amount of money that's owed by the U.S. government today, it's somewhere around 19 trillion. 19 trillion with a T. It was 7 trillion when Obama was first elected.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gone from 7, and we'll say 7 years. It's gone from 7 trillion to 19 trillion. That amounts to about $48,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States in debt.
Wow.
And we say, wow, but you know something? It's almost the same in Canada per capita.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
And that's when you put the provinces in there.
Sure.
Now, if interest rates go up, the cost of that debt is going to go up.
Oh.
That's the problem.
It's scary.
It applies to government, it applies to provinces, it applies to municipalities, and it applies to individuals.
Fred, it's scary. For every dollar a person brings in, they owe $1.65.
You got it. That's exactly right. That's in Blair Manton's book.
Crunch is coming.
Yeah.
The crunch will come under that system.
We're going to hit the
There's no
wall.
way that you can operate that way, and no individual can exist financially with that system.
No.
I wish all of your information was taught at school level. I think we're failing because we don't have financial education in the education system. I don't know why. I don't know who's against it, because it's so elementary.
Well, I will say this. If there's any educators out there, I'll be happy to go to any school, anywhere, anytime, and teach courses in financial planning.
That's awesome.
I'll put it out there.
That's awesome.
Okay, and that's what I do. That's what I do.
Yep.
I want people to learn how to manage their money better.
Good.
Period.
Good.
And it starts. It's so simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You don't spend everything you earn.
Yep.
You make sure you're not broke on payday.
Yep.
And the only way you can do that is to have a budget.
Yep.
Now, if you need a model budget, you can go to StatsCan. StatsCan will tell you what the average person living in Vancouver spends on everything.
Right.
You know how much it costs to drive not a tiny car, but we'll say a tiny to medium-sized car? The total cost, everything in?
I could tell you.
It's close to $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Stats Canada.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Okay. You know, when I ask somebody how much it costs to drive your car, what do they tell me? Well, I spend, let's see, $250 on gas a month. But they forget the insurance, the repairs, the tires, the depreciation, and the interest cost if it's financed.
Sure. Well, in Quicken, I have auto expenses.
Yeah.
Fuel, service, other. And I could bring it up in a matter of seconds. I know exactly what I spend, where I spend it.
Brian, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call.
As far as investing now, Fred,
Yep.
you got to be careful at this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
as you well know. But I'll tell you, I go to my financial advisor once a quarter.
Yes.
And I think it's important to do that, to keep on track, to learn more from my advisor, and to know if we're on target or not.
Of course. Peter Drucker, Dean of Modern Management, used to say, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Mm-hmm.
So measuring your money helps you manage it. And measuring it, and you can't do that without a budget. You need a benchmark.
Yep. Good talking to you, Fred.
Okay, you enjoy the rest of the weekend.
I've been meaning to do this for years.
Can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. Hope you call again.
Good luck.
Okay, you
and
take care.
Keep up
Bye.
the
Bye
good
now.
work.
Okay, let's talk to Vicky from Vancouver. Vicky, welcome to the program, and thanks for waiting.
Hi.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Fred.
How are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
Oh, can't complain. What's your question?
My question? Well, I have a husband and a small child. We're like end of 30s, beginning of 40s, and we've spent 4 years out of the country, just kind of being semi-retired and having fun. And we've just returned, and now we're renting, and we have all of our accounts on an internet banking, so we're not paying for people's expensive branches. And we've got about $8,000 in savings and no debt. And I was just wondering if that's what we do, just try and fill up a savings account, or if there's more smart ways that we can make our money grow better.
Well, let's put it to you this way. It's the classic question, do I take risk? Or do I put my money into something that's guaranteed? Now, to the best of my knowledge, the best guaranteed rate of return that you can get right now is 2%.
Yes.
So let's say you get 2% on your money. The tax man will take almost half that if you're in the largest tax bracket, 3/4 of it if you're in the smaller, or a quarter of it if you're in the smaller tax bracket. So inflation will take more than the rest. So your real rate of return after taxes and inflation, adjust that rate of return is minus. So the only way that you can get a positive return is to take a certain degree of risk. You have to manage the risk. There is nothing out there that will give you a real rate of return that is guaranteed. Doesn't exist. So a good portfolio of well-managed mutual funds might be a good idea.
Okay.
Or stocks. And really what you need to do is make an appointment, come in and see me, and sit down and let me educate you. I have a TV screen up on my wall, which is huge, and you can see what's on my computer monitor in a very, very large illustration on the screen, just like we have right here at the radio station behind me. Okay? So when I'm talking to a client, I can show them charts and illustrations and tables and things that help them understand. Because you need to understand that risk is not a bad word, as long as it's not excessive. So you have to find a risk tolerance number, which would probably be somewhere between low and moderate.
Right.
Based on what I've heard so far.
Also, I'm really interested in ethical funds. I'm like an environmentalist, and all that blah blah. So I'm just wondering if can I be an environmentalist and a smart investor?
Well, it'll cost you something to be an environmentalist, because you've already tied the hands of your money manager and said it's okay to invest, but you can't invest in this and you can't invest in that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So you've lowered the choices, and I'm not being critical when I say that. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. I know that, yeah.
Ethical investments, like I don't know if there's anything out there that you can invest in that's totally unethical. Let's put it that way.
Right. That's true.
Money moves around. But I would say that really, I use Morningstar Advisor Workstation, and I can find out almost anything that you want to know. I took the Canadian Business Magazine, and I got a table in there of the 500 best investment funds in the country. I downloaded that in an Excel spreadsheet off the internet, and I can sort those in almost any way that I want to, find almost any information I want. This is just individual stocks. And essentially, you have to develop a portfolio that is suitable for you. And that can't be cookie cutter. You got to sit down with somebody that's knowledgeable and can help you do that. And you can do it interactively. You could sit down with me and I could say, well, here's 5 different securities, and let's compare them. Which one do you like the best based on the comparison? And you might say, well, I like C. And I may say, well, I don't like that one either, so maybe we should talk about that a bit. That's what I do. So your job is to develop a financial plan and to develop an investment plan that's inside the plan that's suitable for you.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. And the way you do that is to give Frida a call. So if you call Frida, she can book the appointment, come in and see me, and you get a chance also to win $500. So what's your definition of financial success?
My definition of financial success,
Yeah.
I think just not having to worry and think about it too much. I'd be totally willing to get into, do all the work and get it set up and put in place, and then not have to think about it too often. I don't mind. I actually quite enjoy looking at my stats, and I track our finances on, I'm using Mint right now. I'm not sure.
Not familiar with that one.
Oh, yeah, and so getting set up and then not having to worry about it too much, be able to have a little trip here and there, and again, like the other lady said a few minutes ago, we live quite modestly, but we're happy, and just have what we need, plus a few things that we really want, like a luxurious, and be happy and healthy.
You know, I listened to a CNN program a couple of weeks ago about people that have won the lottery. And I never heard so many horror stories. These people win the lottery and they're broke in a year. So it's you know, I often say that having is the result of being. So if you want to have something, you got to become. So these people weren't the right kind of people to be that rich because they don't know how to manage their money.
No.
The first thing they start doing is spending their principal. You should only spend the earnings, not the principal.
Yes, exactly.
It's like you got an apple orchard, you know. You don't go in and to pick the apples, cut the trees down. So it's okay to spend the income because you spend the income because you know that next month is going to be replaced with another check, and the month after that another check. But if you start dipping into the principal, now the income suffers. I can show you statistically that if you could get and you can't, but if you could get a 10% rate of return on an investment, and inflation was 3%, and you withdrew the 10% inflation adjusted, you'd be broke in 12 years. People don't understand that, and they need to. So, Vicki, I really appreciate your call.
Thank you. It's nice talking to you, Fred.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Take care. Bye now.
You too. Bye.
Okay, Vicki's line is now open, so if you're out there, you're listening to the show, give us a call. We're talking about your money and how to keep it, and we'll talk to John from Vancouver. John, welcome to the program.
Hi, Fred. Great
Hi.
to be on.
Thanks, John.
So you stole my thunder.
How's that?
Well, you brought up the people with the winning lottery. And it's one of the things that I was going to talk about here. You talked about financial independence or success. And I think that's a great example because when you look at all the stories of the people who have won millions and millions of dollars, and it's ended up being their worst nightmare and quite often ending up as a very sad story, as you said. And I think at the end of the day, it's a really simple formula for independence or success, as you put it, and that is that your income obviously has to exceed your expenses. But by itself, that doesn't do you any good. You also have to follow it up with two other things, and that's also been covered on the program today, and that was budget. Because if you don't have a budget, then how are you going to know if your income is exceeding your expenses or not? And then the last part, of course, and that's the most crucial, is you got to have a plan.
Without any doubt.
And I think that, in a nutshell, is probably it.
The bottom line is very, very simple. If you're wealthy and you spend more than you earn, your wealth is diminishing. If you're not wealthy and you spend more than you earn, you're building up debt.
Yeah.
You can't spend more than you earn, period.
Yeah.
If you want to stay wealthy.
Yeah, it's pretty basic, but a lot of people don't seem to get that.
Well, they don't. They think, well, I just won $10 million. I'm never going to run out of money.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But they do. They get lousy rates of return. They take chances. They take undue risk. And they don't have a plan to guide them.
Right.
I mean, I say this, that if you're looking for a financial advisor, and everybody listening to this show right now should write this down, because your success in life, financially and otherwise, is all about how well you choose people. So when I'm evaluating a person that I'm going to have some kind of a relationship with, I ask myself 3 questions. And they all start with C. I call them the 3 C's. The first C stands for, does this person care? Does this person care enough about my money to look after it? As an example. Care. Okay? And you can almost tell immediately. Is this person competent to look after my money? That's the second C. Competent. And that's just as important. Maybe I care like crazy, but I'm not competent. So everything falls apart. Okay? So you got to be competent. And the last C stands for character, which means honesty and integrity. So I
love that, Fred. That's a great motto.
I may care, I may be competent, but I may be a crook.
Yeah.
Now you're in trouble. Okay.
You think? Anyway, Fred, that's it. I just wanted to let you know. And by the way, I know other people have said it today and other shows, but I just think you give a good service here with letting people know, not just on this stuff, but on debt, on insurance, all sorts of things. Anyway, thanks again.
Okay, you take care. Appreciate the call.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, John's line is now open, so you're out there, you're listening to the show. Get on the line and give us a call, but I think we do have to go to the break. We're going to go to the break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking about your financial future. Don't go away.
Fred Snyder.
Do you have a GPS? I do. I have one in my boat. I have one in my car. I get in my car, I can turn the GPS on, put an address in, it'll tell me exactly how to get there. When I'm in my boat, I can say I want to go to Anvil Island, and my boat will take me right there every time. Wouldn't it be nice to have a financial plan that would do the same thing?
Fred Snyder.
When you sit down with a financial advisor, such as myself, I have to determine the level of risk that you need to take, and the level of risk that you're able to take, and the level of risk that you want to take, and the way to get the best return on your investments. That's what your financial plan is all about.
Fred Snyder.
I just really appreciate and honor what you do every week for people, is giving them financial knowledge. So I'm just really happy about that. Just keep on doing the awesome work, Fred.
Fred Snyder.
So three kinds of people: those who really don't have a plan, they're just kind of starting out; those who are on the way; and those who feel they're already there. The three types of people. And those who are already there, maybe you need to get a second opinion on that portfolio, that you have to make sure that it's the right one, or maybe you have to tweak the plan itself. That's what we're talking about. If you fall in any of those categories, time to make a phone call.
Call Fred. Listen to Fred. Fred Snyder. Sunday mornings 9 to 11 on CIL 650. Welcome back to It's Your Money on CIL 650. If you have a question for Fred, call 604-280-0650. Now, back to Fred.
Okay, we're back. Remind you once again, ladies and gentlemen and listeners, this is a live show. Here for 2 hours. Flying solo today. Next week I'll have guests. We're going to be talking about a lot, really, about the burden of debt. That's one of the steps in the financial planning process. We look at the overall financial planning process. One of the main steps in there is debt management. How do you manage your debt? Probably the best way to manage your debt is not to have any. Okay? But sometimes it happens. A disaster of some kind, a medical emergency of some kind. Sometimes we find ourselves in debt when we planned not to. So if we find ourselves in debt, what's the best way to get out of it? Well, I have what I call good debt and bad debt. So let's say, for example, that you have bad debt. What is bad debt? Well, bad debt is interest on credit cards of 18 or 20% that's not tax deductible. That's terrible debt. You got to understand that to pay that interest, that exorbitant rate of interest, let's say that amounts to a couple of $1,000. We'll say $1,000 a month. Let's say that's your interest on a maxed out credit card, $1,000 a month. Wow. You got to earn $2,000, pay $1,000 of tax to have $1,000 left to pay that. So if you're in the top tax bracket, the real cost is almost double whatever that interest rate is. That's terrible. What should you do? You owe the money, you can't pay it off. Get a line of credit. At maybe 3 or 4%, a lot less, and maybe take a look at making that interest tax deductible. You got a mortgage on your house, It's not deductible. Maybe you can make it tax deductible. These are all tools that a good financial advisor has that should be employed in helping you achieve your financial objectives. So debt management is one way that you make sure that you're on track financially. If you get yourself over your head in debt, it's a problem. So again, when life bites you in the wallet, everybody who calls the show gets a copy of that book. I'm looking here at Jonathan Chevreau, who says it's not often I learned several new things from a personal finance book, but this one manages to make an old topic seem fresh. In fact, it's given me multiple stories, ideas for my Money Sense program. Now, I don't know if you know who Jonathan Chevreau is, but he's a writer for the Financial Post. Been doing that for years. Praises that incredibly. Okay, let's talk to Nargis from Burnaby. Nargis, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Fred. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I was wondering, I was listening to Vicky just earlier, and that's exactly how I feel. I don't want to worry about it. I want someone else to handle it. And I was thinking about the segregation funds.
Segregated funds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard that the principal is not touched, and yet you get 5% guarantee every year.
It seems to me that you're talking about what is referred to as a GLWB. That's a Guaranteed Lifetime Withdrawal Benefit Program. And the mutual funds that they use in there are mutual funds that are offered by insurance companies, and they're called seg funds. This is a very complicated product, and it's very easy to get confused about it.
Because
you have a market value which can fluctuate in value. It can go up or it can go down. You have resets which capitalize the market value and turn it into what's known as the protected value. So on day one, if you were to put $100,000 into one of these so-called GLWBs, you would have $100,000 as a protected value and $100,000 as a market value. The protected value can never decrease. It can increase but never decrease. Let's forget it for a minute. It's sitting there. It's fixed. The market value can go up or down. If it goes up and it goes higher than the original amount and it stays there for 3 years, it gets reset, and that becomes the new protected value. So hence the protected value increased. You can never pull out the protected value as cash. Whenever you decide to draw an income, you get 5% of the protected value, which increases by way of bonuses and resets. Now, I've probably confused a whole bunch of people already, okay? That's why it's much better if we have charts and things to look at. It's easier to understand. This product is really a product which is designed for somebody who wants to have an income which is predictable, dependable, and potentially increasing. That's what it does.
Isn't that a great investment?
Pardon?
Isn't that a great investment? At least your principal.
Well, it can be. But this is not a good investment for somebody who wants to grow money to buy themselves a house or something like that.
No.
Okay, this is the best way to describe this program. This is like buying a defined benefit pension plan that's cashable. See, everybody who gets the Canada Pension Plan, that's a defined benefit pension plan, but it's not. You can't turn it into lump sum cash. But this GLWB is a defined benefit pension plan, guarantees 5% for life of the protected value, and it's cashable at whatever the market value is at the time. And there used to be 12 companies competing in this arena, and there's down to about 4 now, because it became too good for the client, not good enough for the company, because the company's on the hook. Let's say the market takes a real beating, the insurance company that offers it has to cover that in terms of income. So if that becomes a suitable product for somebody like yourself, then you should look into it. How old are you right now?
73.
Pardon me?
73.
Well, it could be. So you're retired?
Yep.
So it's a product for somebody who is at or near retirement. So that's so far suitable.
And do you do that? Do
Yeah.
you invest in things like that?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
So you should If you want to get more information on this, call Frida. Make an appointment and come in and see me.
All righty.
Okay, can't tell you how much appreciate your call. And just a minute. What's your definition of financial independence?
Same as Vicky's, I told you.
Okay, same as Nikki.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't want to worry about it.
Okay. Appreciate your call. You take care.
Thanks.
Enjoy
Bye.
the rest of the weekend. Bye now. Okay, you're out there, you're listening to the show, and again, we're talking about your money, more importantly, about your money and how to keep it. And essentially, it's a struggle for a lot of people. If I kind of sum up what we've talked about already today, almost everybody agrees that you have to have a budget. Okay? And I think that's probably the most important part of your overall financial situation. The first thing you need to know is, how am I spending my money? Why am I spending more than I earn? How do I measure that? Where do I find a good benchmark? You got Google. You can go to any of the bank's websites. You can find calculators in there where you can actually make a budget, print out a PDF file. You can do that. You can call me. I'll send you a budget form. Just fill it in. But you got to start somewhere. So don't put it off. Start. Take a small step. It's a tiny one. Do something today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. You know what that small step might be? A phone call. Walk over to the phone right now and dial the number. 604-280-0650. Long distance, 1-877-280-0650. Log on, www.cl650.com. Call Frida. She's down at the office right now. Area code 604-737-3512. If you're calling long distance, it's 1-800-661-1495. So Jonathan Chevreau says, when life bites you in the wallet, he learned something by reading that book. I'm going to have one of the authors of that book on the show, and he's been on the show already. His name is Blair Manton with Sands & Company. Fabulous guy. Jonathan Chevreau is the editor of Money Sense and the author of Financial Independence Day. Great writer. So here's Linda Nazareth. We are headed into an age of income inequality, and the rich will be the people who save the most, not those who earn the most. Haven't I been saying that all along? It's not about how much you make that counts. It's about how much you keep. Okay? And it's true. This book will help you do that. When life bites you in the wallet, it helps make sure you're on the right side of the divide. Linda Nazareth is author of Economorphics, The Trends Turning Today into Tomorrow. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there, that today will become tomorrow. And what tomorrow will look like will depend upon what you do today. Get on the phone, give us a call. Get this book. Read it. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Very, very important to do. Here's J. Douglas Hoyes. He's a chartered accountant. Excellent fact-filled analysis of the implications of our debt-saturated society. Lots of easy-to-understand practical advice to escape the debt trap. J. Douglas Hoyes is a CA trustee, co-founder of Hoyes, Miklos and Associates, Inc. Stay away from most debt. 5 four-letter words that summarizes Davies and Manton's fulsome exploration of personal debt in all steps of life, by Fred Kirby, who's a CFP. When life bites you in the wallet, makes you step back and re-examine your relationship with money and credit, and shows you how powerful it is to be in charge rather than a slave to it. Let's talk to Jenny from Burnaby. Jenny, welcome to the program. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you, Jenny? Thanks for calling.
Good, thanks. I am a very low income earner.
Mm-hmm.
I was injured in a car accident and have lived through most of my payout, I guess, from my CBC. The money's been dwindling. And I'm wondering what your advice is on how to keep the little bit that's remaining safe.
Where's the money? Are you talking about your investments?
Yeah, it's in.
Where's it invested right now?
In a tax-free mutual fund.
Tax-free? You mean a TFSA?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you how much you have in there?
21,000.
Are you spending that? Is that depleting right now?
That's what I live on pretty much.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, as we've said throughout the show, if you get off the track financially, the best way to get on the track is to get a financial plan. I'd be surprised if you have one. Do you have a financial plan right now?
Oh, trusting God.
Okay. All right. So you don't have a financial plan. You need one. That's fundamental. That's where it starts. Mm-hmm. You have to get yourself a written financial plan. Everybody listening to this show, you don't have a plan, you need one. I don't care if you're old or young or rich or poor or whatever. Doesn't matter. You have to have a financial plan. Because if you don't, you're drifting. I'll tell you, I'll guarantee you, when I leave this station and drive back to Vancouver after the show, if somebody put a bag over my head and told me to drive to North Vancouver, do you think I'd get there? No, I wouldn't. Okay? Right. But that's the way a lot of people are handling their money. That's what happens when you don't have a plan. You're trying to get from A to B blindfolded. Mm-hmm. It isn't going to work. And even if you don't have any money, you still need some kind of a plan. The plan says, don't have any money, how am I going to get some? That's the question. Maybe the plan is, I got to get a better job for some people. Maybe the plan is a reverse mortgage in some cases. Where am I going to find some money? Equity in your house, insurance policies, debt. Maybe you have to borrow, but that should be your last resort. And if you're over your head in debt, maybe you need to be looking at a personal proposal, a debt proposal arrangement with your creditors, or bankruptcy. Okay? These are all things that have to be done, because if you don't do them while you're able, then somebody's going to do it for you. Okay? So you get over. You find yourself with a mountain of debt. You got to bail yourself out. Ultimately, maybe the only solution is bankruptcy. But that's better than doing nothing and drifting. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, for people who are physically and intellectually challenged and can't work the way they want or were able to, and don't want to be on the system, it's tricky.
Oh, I know. There's no question. But there's so much that you can do. In Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, he talks about his son Blair. He had a son Blair that when he was born, he had no ears. And he looked down in the crib at the child, and he said, "This kid is going to learn to hear."
Wow.
And he overcame that. And when Blair died, I think he was in his 80s, he owned a huge factory that manufactured hearing aids.
Oh, great.
See, you can achieve anything if you really want to, if you have a burning desire. The burning desire is the key. We only use about 10% of our brains. We're afraid we're going to overload it when we only use 10% of it already. Like, the way you utilize more of it is to get the burning desire. The way you get the burning desire is to sit down and make some goals. If you can't sit down and make the goals, or you don't know how to, you get help. You talk to somebody like me, or you read the book Think and Grow Rich. Have you ever read that book?
No.
You have a computer?
Mhm.
Got Google?
Mhm.
It's a free download.
Okay.
Google it, look for Think and Grow Rich, download it. Anybody else listening to this show, you want to light a fire under yourself? Get the book. It doesn't cost you a nickel. Now, there's another book they sell. It's a workbook. It costs $35. I'd get that too, because you got to fill in the blanks. The book itself is just pure reading. But I've read that book a dozen times. He tells the story in there of and I wear this one out probably on this radio show, but he tells the story of Henry Ford. Henry Ford was one of the most successful businessmen in the United States in the mid-30s. And the Chicago Tribune wrote an article criticizing him for being an uneducated fool. So he sued them. And in court, the lawyers cross-examined him, and they essentially asked him a whole bunch of stupid questions. And he sat there, didn't say a word. Finally, after about 15 questions, he stood up and said, "Look, gentlemen," he said, "I am not about to, don't want to, carry a whole bunch of useless information around in my head. I don't need to, and it's stupid to do so." He said, "On my desk I have 15 buttons. One button says lawyer. I need legal advice. I push the button, my lawyer comes in. I get the information I need. Another one says doctor. Push that button, my doctor comes in. I get the information I need. Accountant, and so on. You know the rest of the story." So he said, that way I have infinite intelligence. These are all experts. And while I'm reading this, I said, oh my God, what do we got today? We got Google. I got a laptop computer sitting in front of me here right now that's hooked up to the world. I don't have to get out of this chair. Okay? I remember one time I was sitting on the back porch with my wife quite a few years ago, and there's bumblebees flying around. And I said, honey, I said, I don't think I've ever seen a bumblebee in BC. I'm from Ontario. And she said, well, that's not a bumblebee. That's a honeybee. And she likes to argue. And I said, no, that's a bumblebee. So we argued back and forth. I said, excuse me for a minute. I went in the house and went downstairs to my office. I looked up bumblebee on my computer, and I printed a whole bunch of about 10, 15 pages on bumblebees and another 10 or 15 pages on honeybees. I said, read up on your bees. But the bottom line is, you can find out anything. Doesn't matter what it is. You want to find out about ISIS, you can get it online. You want to find out about the 10 best dividend funds in Canada. You want to invest in some dividend-paying investments or stocks or whatever? All you got to do is Google it. You'll get the list. Doesn't matter what it is. You want an image. Any image of anything that you want, you can get on Google. Thousands and thousands of images that you can cut and paste into documents. My wife has an aunt who's 95, who became computer literate at 93, thanks to my grandson. He built her a computer, went over, showed her how to use it. She's an addict right now at 95. Sends out emails like constantly. Okay? So the bottom line is, the best thing that you, me, anybody else that's listening to this show who wants to have access to more information and knowledge, you become computer literate. There isn't anything that you can't find. I got a little device here, my iPhone. That'll do anything that my laptop will. This little iPhone is more powerful than the computer that put man on the moon. So there's technology out there, and if you don't keep up, you're going to fall behind. And life becomes much more interesting when you do that. So here's the question. What is your definition of financial independence?
Having enough money, and, well, having enough money not to worry about the future, and having enough knowledge about that money.
That's the first time knowledge came into the picture, but I have to agree with you, because you can have enough money. If you don't have enough knowledge, you can lose it all. You know, it's a fact. It's a fact that half the people that are financially independent at age 65, half, are financially dependent by age 70 because they didn't look after the money well and they didn't deal with taxes and inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So you start out with 100, you end up at 70, you got 2.5 people, if you can have such a thing, 2.5 people that are financially independent at age 65. Now here's another thought for you and anybody else listening to the show right now. Mm-hmm. Let's just suppose, like, here's the question, how long are you going to live? Now, a lot of people today don't know the answer to that because they're coming up with all kinds of incredible cures. I had a fellow in my office 2 days after having open heart surgery, sitting in front of me talking to me. Yeah. Had a heart valve replaced. 2 days later, he's in my office. I mean, that's unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And so with modern science right now, the ability to print body parts with a 3D printer, and they're able to do that. They say that in 10 years they'll be able to print a whole heart, the whole thing, and you use your own tissue to do so it won't be rejected. So when they can start replacing organs like that, maybe we're all going to live to be 150 or maybe 130 or something like that. But what happens if we plan to be broke at 90 because we figure we'd be gone by 90 and now we suddenly can live to be 150 and we're broke for 50 or 60 years? Think about that. You got to have a plan. No plan, you won't succeed. Mm-hmm. No plan, you're planning to fail. If you plan to fail, life won't disappoint you. You'll fail.
Yeah.
So
well, thank you very much.
That's a good answer. I hope that was helpful. I want you to enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thanks a lot. You too.
Take care, Jenny. Okay, so Jenny's line is now open, and again, I'm going to give the numbers out. It's 604-280-0650. Long distance 1-877-280-0650. Log on, www.CIL650.com. Frida down at the office. Area code 604-737-3512. Long distance 1-800-661-1495. Talk to Frida. So if you're shy, reluctant to talk on there, you want to make an appointment, you're a client of mine already and you want your account reviewed, give Frida a call. Now's the time to do it. She's down there, and be happy to review your account, make appropriate suggestions to any changes that might be necessary. Just takes a phone call. And again, as I said many, many times, at the risk of repeating myself, the longest journey begins with the first step. Take that step. Make a phone call. 604-280-0650. Long distance 1-877-280-0650. All callers get a chance to win $500 simply by defining financial independence. What is it? Is it social acceptance into the most exclusive club in town? Is it having a bigger house? Is it getting the mortgage paid off? Driving a fancy car? What is financial independence? Is it having $1 million in the bank or in an investment account? Having a portfolio of real estate? Owning your own business? What is financial independence? Ask 100 people. You'll get 100 different answers. But some of them will give you common answers, like comfortable early retirement. Most people want to retire early. That could be a goal. Most people have it. Retirement won't be much fun if you have to spend Christmas with the kids because you can't afford to treat the kids, as an example, okay? So stay away from most debt. bad scene. If you run up debt, you got to work at it. It takes effort. We talked about it before. Be in charge rather than a slave to debt. You'll learn how to become truly financially independent by not being constantly shackled by debt. This book will help you get back on the road to freedom. And Fred Kirby is a CFP, a financial investment newsletter writer. And those are testimonials on this fabulous book. I'm really impressed with it, and I thank Blair for the opportunity to work with him on this book. So here's a tribute to Shay Lynn and Ree Ella Davies. As Dr. Seuss said, "Oh, the places you'll go." This is Rob Baylor. This book would not have happened without the two co-authors being introduced through Rob Baylor at Deloitte Restructuring in Ontario, Canada. Rob thought we might have some shared perspectives on financial matters in today's world, and he was bang on. Thanks, Rob. So again, we have to go to the break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking about your money and how to keep it. Don't go away. Because the name of the game is to create cash flow.
Fred Snyder.
So just visualize yourself. If you want to go to Hawaii every year, you're lying on the beach, you can feel the hot sun beating down on your back. You know, you get up, you take a walk, you can feel the hot sand crunch between your toes, you hear the waves lapping on the beach, the seagulls circling overhead. You know, you got to be able to visualize all this. And this is not just for you, this is for anybody else that's out there listening to the show. You have to motivate yourself. And the way you motivate yourself is being able to visualize yourself enjoying your objectives, as I just did.
And that's why I'm calling you.
Okay?
Fred Snyder.
That's the key. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how you can afford to pursue and enjoy your hopes, your plans, your dreams, and your ambitions. That's what we're talking about.
Fred Snyder.
If you have a financial plan and you're somewhere in the middle and you're wondering what tweaks that you should make in that plan to make it what you really want it to be, time to make a phone call. Or if maybe you're just getting started out and you want to get a starter plan, maybe it's time to talk to somebody like myself and get yourself on the right track.
Call Fred. Listen to Fred. Fred Snyder. Sunday mornings 9 to 11 on CIL 650. This is CISL Vancouver. Smooth and easy.
CIL 650.
You're listening to It's Your Money on CIL 650. Once again, here is Fred Snyder.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, we're back. I remind you once again, this is a live show. No guests today, flying solo. Next week, got some guests, so you better tune in next week. We're going to be talking a lot about debt. And I just have to point out that I don't know that I'm developing a lot of business by talking so much about debt, because most of the people that are heavy in debt aren't ready to invest. But I'm doing this because I really believe that people need to get themselves on a proper platform when it comes to money. And the proper platform is you probably need to be debt-free if you're going to achieve your financial potential. That's what we're talking about. You got to be debt-free if you're going to save, be able to pay yourself first 10 cents out of every dollar you earn and budget to pay the other 90 cents. You have to mitigate your taxes. You have to develop a plan. Scotia Bank basically says you're richer than you think. And you are. Most people I talk to can put away some money if they really want to. And you got to add one word to that, if they really want to enough. The key word is enough. You got to have, if you had a burning desire to be systematically saving some money, a burning desire, it really is number one in your whole thought process. You're consumed by it. You have this compulsion to save and invest money. Very few people do. But if you had it, it'd be hard to stop. You'd be like a tank. Okay? So think about what I just said. It's extremely important that we get on side on this particular issue. You need to save 10 cents out of every dollar you earn. And if you do that, it's hard to get into debt. How can you get into debt when you're not spending 100% of what you earn? You're spending less. It's just about as simple as that. If you don't take on debt, you don't use credit cards, you save 10 cents out of every dollar, it's hard to go wrong. Let's talk to Chris from Vancouver. Chris, welcome to the program.
Oh, hi, Fred.
Hi, Chris.
Good to talk to you again. Yes, so you're talking about financial freedom. And I've been listening for the last hour and a half or so, and everything that everybody has said has resonated with me with my first thought when you introduced this subject, and it's peace of mind. If you have peace of mind, you have a happy life, and I wonder what you think about that.
Well, the book that I'm going through here bit by bit right now, the book covers that. It basically says that if you get debt, you don't have peace of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And this starts out, I'm getting into the meat of things here. The cover part here is part 1, looking in the mirror. What does that mean? It means you got to take a very objective look at yourself and what you're doing. Okay? I mean, just think about what would happen if you brown bagged your lunch every day instead of going out for lunch. Or if you're a smoker, it probably costs, I think a package of cigarettes is $10. But you got to earn $20, pay $10 of tax to have $10 left to buy the cigarettes. So if you smoke a pack a day, that's $20 a day. That's $600 a month. So if you quit smoking, you'd be able to put away $600 a month instead. Instead of killing yourself slowly, you're enhancing your financial well-being by saving and investing $600 a month. If you put that $600 a month into your RRSP, you'd get a $300 a month tax rebate, which you could use for something else. You could probably use that $300 a month for a vacation. Think about the fact that somebody smokes, it costs $600 a month to smoke. If that would be more than enough to pay for a really good cruise once a year. So they smoke and they don't take a vacation. I mean, people do stupid stuff, and this is stupid when you really think about it. Now, some people are going to be really angry. The smokers are going to get really, really rough here. But the bottom line, it's stupid. It makes not an, and I used to smoke, so I can say that. Okay, it's willful killing yourself slowly and surely. Okay, and the medical profession has proven that. So the bottom line is, what is it that you're doing financially that you need to do, and what is it that you're doing financially that you want to do, and how do you prioritize what you're doing? You know, if you have a mortgage payment to make, you can't skip it. But if you're paying taxes, you could defer them. There's all kinds of things that you can do to create cash flow. And I want everybody listening to the show right now to think about that. Cash flow. How do I create cash flow? That means I have money left over. I have discretionary income at the end of the day. I get my paycheck, I pay my bills, I have something left over, whatever it is. And the best way to guarantee that you have something left over is to pay yourself first. There I go again, 10 cents out of every dollar. Because that guarantees there's something left over. So if you make that a cardinal rule, that you're going to live on 90% of what you earn, 90% of your take-home pay really is what I'm talking about. You're going to live on 90% of what you earn, and you're not going to exceed that. You put that money into the envelope that we're talking about, and when that one envelope is empty, there's no more money. You don't take it out of one of the other envelopes. You don't commingle. So if you do that, you're going to guarantee that you're going to be putting money into the piggy bank. Okay? And in time, you're going to have a nice problem. You're going to end up with too much money in the bank.
Yeah, well, this is all due to the motivation that you give us every week, and also the plan that you instill in us that we have to have. Sometimes it's difficult to have that plan unless you're working. When you're working, it's much easier to have a plan. But when you're beholden to a fixed income and trying to make some money in the stock market and mutual funds in this economy, it's a little bit harder. But there we have what you said earlier about effort. And I think, there's a lot of effort that has to go into that. Otherwise, you don't succeed.
There's no doubt about that at all. None. The you know, I mean, I can go into Google right now. Like, people are listening to this show and they say, well, I'm not working, where can I find a job? Google it. Okay? Just type into Google looking for a job and see the answers you get. Or type in home-based business. Find some kind of a business that you can operate out of your house. A guest home. Foreign students. Writing. Write articles. Desktop publishing for somebody. Bookkeeping and accounting. Get a problem like Quicken. The one caller that we had, what was it? I think it was John. I believe it was John that had Quicken. So, you know, get the program Quicken. Do some of these books for them. There's lots of people out there. And if you're listening to this show right now and you're looking for a job, phone in and say, look, I'm available. Maybe I got all kinds of listeners right now that might want to hire you. Cut grass. Do landscaping.
Sounds interesting.
I mean, it's only limited by your imagination. And if you have trouble with imagination, just Google it. You're going to get a list of stuff that you just browse through. You can consider anything that's on that list.
There you are, Fred, with motivation again. You're so great at that.
Well, I was always good at it, I think. So they tell me.
The other thing I wanted to say, the lady that phoned up about the GWLB,
yes.
That's something that I have with you. I've had it for the last 3 years, and it's been absolutely great. And I thank my lucky stars that I did it at that time, and I wished I'd done more. But at least, you know, I have that. I worry a little bit about the Canadian economy because I know it's all invested in Canadian securities, but I can't believe that the Canadian economy won't survive in the long run, and I guess it's a case of time.
Well, Chris, let's go out on the economy. I got about 15 minutes before I have to go, and I really want to talk a bit about the Canadian economy right now. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So what is your definition of financial independence?
Peace of mind.
I don't know how many times I've heard that today. It's the same. Peace of mind.
In a different context, yes. But to actually say that's the underlying concept that we have to think about, to have that peace of mind and to enjoy time and experiences and not put so much money into things.
Okay, Chris, enjoy the rest of the weekend. I appreciate your call.
Thank you.
You take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Okay, let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about the global economy. Let's talk about the stock markets a bit. Where are we going with these markets? We had tremendous volatility last week. We had 2 very strong days the last couple of days. Nice rebound. A lot of people were calling me thinking the market's going to keep going down. I said it's got to come back because people are going to start buying at these cheaper prices, and that's true. Doesn't mean it's over. But the big problem, one of the big parts of the problem is oil. Oil prices have plummeted. You have to remember the fact that 30% of the Canadian economy is oil. Hence we got a 70-cent Canadian dollar because the prices of oil, or the price of oil, has plummeted. That's what's going on. The world is drowning in oil. It's affecting the whole world right now. Is that going to change? I don't know. We have the interest rate debacle. Interest rates are predicted to go up. They may not after the volatility that we had in the market last week. Okay? Because the governments have a vested interest in not seeing the market go to hell in a handbag. I don't think that's going to happen. Can't guarantee it, but I don't think it's going to happen. We got China. We have issues in China. A lot of uncertainty. But remember one thing. What makes the stock market go up? What makes the stock market go down? Simply buyers and sellers. If more people are buying than selling, the market goes up. If more people are selling than buying, the market goes down. What causes people to sell their stocks? Uncertainty and worry. So when there's a lot of uncertainty, the market goes down. Guess what happens when the market goes down? the buyers see buying opportunities and they start buying again. And that puts it back up again. So there's this tug of war that goes on between, they're called bulls and bears. The bears are the people that think the market's going to go down, and the bulls think the market's going to go up. And it's a constant tug of war. It goes back and forth, creating volatility. Volatility is the amount of fluctuation in the market. The best way to think about volatility is to think of a person with a yo-yo climbing stairs. If the string on the yo-yo is long, that's greater volatility. If it's a short string, that's lesser volatility. So what you really want is securities that don't have too much volatility, and that's measured by standard deviation. You need a benchmark. So if you're comparing your investments with anything else, you need to have something to compare them to. You compare the Toronto Stock Exchange, that can be a benchmark. You can have a custom benchmark. But you need to establish with your financial advisor, you need to establish a benchmark, and then you can always compare your investments to the benchmark. You need a financial advisor that is up to date and uses proper software and tools to be able to do the analysis that's required. I use Morningstar Advisor Workstation. I know it inside out right now. It was a very difficult learning curve to learn how to do it. I don't know very many advisors that use it. So let me tell you something. I don't know how any advisor in this era can survive without a tool like that. I don't. So what you need to do is to find yourself an advisor that can prove to you why certain securities were selected, why they're in your portfolio, and you need to understand that, and you need to be comfortable with that, and the portfolio that you have needs to be suitable. So the best way to determine suitability is to ask yourself one simple question. The advisor's probably asked you this already. What is my tolerance for risk? Is it low, moderate, or high? If your tolerance for risk is high, and your investments are very, very low risk, that's not really suitable. The converse is even worse. If your tolerance for risk is low and your investments are high, in other words, highly volatile, that's an unsuitable portfolio. And there's a certain amount of liability involved on the advisor's part. If an advisor puts you into a portfolio that is risky beyond your tolerance for risk, there's liability issues there. So all this is measurable. So you sit down with your financial advisor and say, well, I have 10 securities in my portfolio, or whatever, maybe 20. But I got all these securities, and this one here is losing money. Why was that selected in the first place? And because it's going down doesn't mean it was a poor choice in the first place, but would you please explain to me why you picked that whenever you picked it? Okay? Because there's got to be some logic to why that different security was selected. You know, for example, what I'm trying to do right now is look at my portfolios and take out anything that's in there that's too much oil, too much energy. Okay? I have one fund in there in my portfolio that's 25% energy, too much. So I got to find securities that have far less energy because energy is not doing well. A few years back, precious metals was doing really well, not now. Resources was doing real well, not now. So should you be selling securities that have a lot of energy in there? Only if you believe they're going to be a long time before they come back. But if you think they're going to come back soon, maybe you should keep them. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's not my, and that's only my opinion. Don't take that to the bank. Okay? In my opinion, I don't think it's going to come back, but I don't know. What would happen, for example, if in their quest to wipe ISIS out, they bombed the oil wells that ISIS is getting its oil from that they're bootlegging? Okay? That tightens up on the supply of oil. On the other hand, Iran is going to start pumping oil right now, and that's going to increase the supply of oil. So the push-pull there, who's going to win? Probably there's going to be more oil flooding the market than less. But nobody really knows. Or what happens if the Saudis decide to turn the taps down and shorten up on the supply to drive the price back up again? You don't know. And the boogeyman in the whole equation is fracking. The Americans have found a way to get more oil out of the ground, and they become far more energy independent right now. So again, hence the low Canadian dollar. So the Canadian economy is just like a mutual fund. It's gone down, and Canada's not performed well in the last year. The U.S. done much better. So you need to develop and design a portfolio of securities, and for most people, a balanced approach in that portfolio is the right way to go. If you have a balanced portfolio, your volatility, the yo-yo we were talking about earlier, has a short string if volatility is low. That's measured by standard deviation. Standard deviation of 10 is considered moderate, 4 is low to moderate, and so on. So you ought to be able to find out what that is. So what is your investment mix? The fixed income side should be long-term, short-term, and global bonds. Okay, fixed income. 50% in a balanced portfolio in fixed income. The rest of your portfolio should be allocated across various sectors. And the emphasis should be on the United States right now, in my opinion. The United States has the best economy in the world right now. At least so they say. When we talk about the Americans, we have a debt which is $19 trillion. That was $7 trillion 7 years ago when Obama was elected. From 7 to 19. That's a huge increase. There's a lot of money printed there, which supposedly creates inflation. There's a lot of interest to be paid on that debt. And if interest rates go up, the interest expense goes up on a dollar per dollar basis. We have all that. And then just to mess things up a little bit more, we have North Korea and Kim Jong-un with his so-called hydrogen bomb. The world's a crazy place right now. Okay? But the markets don't seem to totally realize that. Canadian dollar is down. Canadian stocks are down, the Toronto stocks, but it's not so much because of the world, it's because of oil, mostly. So what's the outlook for oil? I don't know. Nobody knows, really. What's the market going to do? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I don't know. Nobody knows, for sure. I can apply good judgment, but I can't give you any guarantees on that either. And there isn't a financial advisor in this city. If there's any advisor out there, if there's anybody listening to this show right now that can tell me what the markets are going to do with absolute certainty, give me a call. I'd like to hear from you. Because I'll put you first on my speed dial list. Okay? You can't. It's impossible. So if you're going to invest in equities, you can't time the markets. If you're going to invest in GICs, you're guaranteed to lose money after taxes and inflation. If you're going to invest in real estate, we may have a bubble going there right now. So what's your options? Put it in the bank and wait, maybe. Spend it. I don't think that's going to work. How's that going to look after your future? It's a real dilemma. So you need to find a way to design a portfolio which is well designed to deal with taxes, inflation, get you a modest real rate of return after taxes and inflation, and make sure it's the return that will get you to where you want to go financially. That starts with defining your financial objectives. You can't get to where you want to go if you don't know where you want to go. You want a bigger house? You want to establish your own business? Doesn't matter what it is, you're not going to get to where you want to go unless you know where you want to go. And then we must talk about insurance. So what happens if you have a financial plan in place? And the financial plan says that at age 65, this is where I'm going to be. This is where I want to be at. And what happens if you die before you get there. What happens if you want to buy a bigger house and you have to buy life insurance to protect the mortgage in the event of your death, or so that your spouse doesn't have to take over? So life insurance has to become an extremely important part of your overall financial plan. I don't talk enough on this show about the need for life insurance. I will tell you this much. People pay too much. Most of the time, people pay too much for the wrong kind of life insurance. I had a client in my office last week that has a 10-year renewable term life insurance policy coming due next year. The premium will go up by 450% next year. He told me, I can't afford to pay that. I can't renew it. And if he does renew it, it runs out when he's 75. It runs out 10 years from now. So he's got to die before he's 75 before it even works. Terrible, terrible situation. Or you get somebody that buys a life insurance policy that costs them $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and I've seen many of those, that it's not paid up at 65. That premium has to be paid out of their pension plan. They have to pay it. So in other words, if you buy a life insurance policy, unless you have investments that's going to cover the premium, you have to have it paid up when you retire. Either that or the payment comes out of your pension income. Not a good plan. So we talk about that and much, much more. We cover that and much, much more when we do a financial plan for people. So anybody who comes to see me gets a gratis written financial plan. There's no cost. There is no obligation. You get a second opinion in writing on your investment program. In writing, a written report which says, this is what you have right now, this is the degree of risk, this is the expected rate of return, all the measurements are in there. Our industry has a new standard coming up which they call CRM2, which involves full disclosure of anything and everything. That will happen, and that's part of the printed report that you get when you come and see me. It's all in there. You know what the MERs are. You know what your expenses are. You know what your expected rate of return is. You know what your risk is. You know what you're investing in. You know what the track record is. It's all there. And what's more, over time, you will become smarter about money, because I will teach you what you need to know to make better financial decisions. That's what it's all about. That's what this show is all about. And you can't tell me that you don't have to make financial decisions, because doing nothing is a decision. Doing something is a better decision, but doing nothing is also a decision. Nice talking to you. Appreciate all the calls I had today. And I'll see you same time, same station next week. Bye for now.
If you'd like Fred to review your portfolio, call his office right now at 604-737-3512. That's 604-737-3512.